Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and today we are doing a little bit less informal video. We are going to talk about, real quick, I just got done filming with Carity products, and you probably will have already seen this by the time this goes up, but I wanted to stop on here real quick and talk to you guys about some products that I have tried and reviewed, and I've kept trying, and I wanted to give you what I'm going to be calling the product updates video. I hope to start doing these once a week or once every other week, or, you know, kind of as the need arises. And again, don't mind my hair because it looks crazy, but I do want to kind of jump into that a little bit. As you guys know, I test a ton of foundations, and I'm just going to kind of give you a real quick run through. This won't be a really long video. Wow, I didn't remove the swatches. Whoops. But this won't be a super long video. It's just going to be like a, you know, did I love it, did I not kind of thing. So I'm just going to jump right into that. So the first thing I want to touch on is these Milk Makeup, the foundation and the concealer. I actually used the foundation today. I mixed a couple of foundations, but one of them was this Milk one. I actually am really liking this Milk foundation. I definitely think it's not my color. This is the shade, I don't know, oh, Golden Light. It's a little bit too dark for me. It's not exactly my shade, but I do love the way that it makes my skin glow, so I'm on the fence. If it goes too long, like I'd say right around 7 hours, it does start to look a little bit cakey, and I've been trying to like work with different foundations and mix-ins to kind of, you know, a little bit more luminous, a little bit more this and that. So I can't say for sure that I would keep this shade, but overall I'm really loving this foundation, but not so much the concealer. The concealer made me look crepey, but I could never use it in the under eye just because, and this is the shade Light, it was too dark for me. I need a really light concealer, like literally just white with a touch of some color. Like I can't have much color because it washes me out and it makes me look all one shade. And essentially these were like very close in tone when I put them on my face, which is not what I'm going for with a concealer, but I tried it on like just my blemished areas, and even those it had a hard time clinging, it didn't sit right, and just overall it wasn't good on my skin. So the concealer is a pretty hard pass. Now at the same time that this one was released, or right around the same time, this YSL All Hours foundation was a huge hit. Like everyone loves it. It's got like 4.5 stars or something, and this for some reason I have not been able to make work for me. Now I am going to try it 1 or 2 more times. I've already tried it, I'd say 2 or 3, and I'm not a huge fan. Every time I wear it, I get kind of cakey and almost dusty looking by the end of the day. I'm going to try it with a couple of different mix-ins, maybe add like some dewdrops from Marc Jacobs, and just kind of try mixing in other products to try to create a better finish or a better outcome at the end of the day. But if I can't do that, you guys, and I can't make it work, this is definitely going to be a pass for me. Now, I do not recommend that you go with me on this. I am not the norm. Most people love this. Most people with oily skin rave about this. I have just not been loving it. So if you've tried it and you have any suggestions and you're super oily and you're like, hey girl, I tried this, hit me up in the comments below because I would love to know what you guys did with this or used it for. I would be really curious because I want to love this. Like, and it does go on beautifully, but for me the problem is wearing throughout the day. It's just not there for me, and the way that it wears is not cute. So for me, this was a hard time. Now the other foundation, or one of the other foundations that I'm going to hit on, is the NARS Velvet Matte Foundation Stick. I did not like this. When I put it on, that was really abrupt. I did not like this, which if you saw my NARS, keep in mind all of these products you've already seen in other videos, so if you're curious, I can definitely link those down below and you can take a look at like my first impressions. But for me, for some reason, I picked this up in the shade Kylan Light number 6, and it's not that the shade was bad. It was actually a really beautiful shade. It's a really creamy formula, and it blends out almost like a cream to powder when I do it on my hand, and it went on really decent for like the first couple hours of the day. But no matter what primer I put with this, no matter what I pair, or no matter what I set with, or powder or anything, I cannot stop this from sloughing and looking cakey, and it really sloughs off my blemishes. Like by the end of the day you can see every single blemish on my face, and I need something that clings to my blemishes and says like, oh no honey, you are not coming out to play. And so for me, I love the concept. I love that it came with this little beauty bouncer thing on the end. I think it was a great idea. I just, for me, it was not a good, and like seriously, it blends out so beautifully on my hand. Like it's a good product. It just did not work on my skin. I don't know if that was a common theme. I haven't like checked reviews on this or anything, but for me, this NARS is a hard pass. I was not a huge fan. Another one that I'm still having kind of a time with is this Dermablend Flawless Creator Foundation Drops. I actually just got a comment last night on the video video, and one of you was like, oh, hey, try this and this and this and this and you know, all these other things. And I wanted to say one thing. First of all, yes, you are 100% right on pretty much everything that you said. She recommended, you know, hey, it needs to be done with a flat kabuki, or it works better that way. Mixing it in is better, or, you know, this and this. And she had a ton of great freaking, what's the word? Tips. There we go. Don't know where that word just floated into outer space, but she had a ton of great tips, and I've tried a lot of those, and I wanted to kind of touch on something with you guys real quick and ask you a question. Now, a lot of the videos that I shoot, a lot of them are first impressions. This is me opening it up, my first thoughts when I look at it. Now, are you guys wanting me to continue doing first impressions, or would you rather me do videos that are like, oh, hey, I've used this 3 times, this is what I think? Because I think that, you know, I want to make sure that I hit both of them, and I know sometimes it's frustrating because it's like, oh, I tried it once and I hated it, and then I loved it later or something. So what do you guys want to see? Like, let me know in the comments, what is it that you want in that respect? Is it, hey, if it's a whole launch, we want your first impressions, but if it's like one palette, we want to know what you think after you've used it a couple times. Because I think that so much of that is personal preference, and because that video was a first impression, the Dermablend video, it doesn't give me much of a chance in that snippet to come back and say, hey, I found that this works better. Because I did go back in later and I mixed this, and I did put it on with a flat top kabuki, because I agree with her. I think that the Cover FX brush was far too dense and it did not work, and it was a nightmare. So I definitely agree with a lot of what she said. For me, the issue with this one is that it is not long wearing on my skin. I've mixed it with different things. I've tried to use it in 100 different capacities. I've probably worn it, God, I'd probably say 5 times now, just for different times or different this, and I can't seem to make it work for me. It just doesn't look flattering or sit flattering on my skin. So for me, this one is probably a pass as well. But I did want to touch on, I love it when you guys put that kind of stuff in the comments and you're like, hey, this is, you know, this is this, and try this, and I love that so much, because if I haven't already thought of it, honey, I need all the help I can get over here. So thank you to that girl for being so smart, because that was awesome. I wish I was better at names so I could actually say her name. So the next product I want to touch on real quick is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Palette, the Glimmer Edition. I did a full first impressions on this one as well, obviously. And you guys, if I am being totally honest, like, I get what everyone says about it needs to be paired with the matte version or this, and I totally understand that. I actually, the day after I was done filming with this, as you guys know, I said I would work with it. I have probably worked with this palette 5 times now, and I started pairing it with my Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics palette, because it is all mattes, and a lot of these browner tones in here are very similar to what you would have found in the Kat Von D one. And no matter what I paired it with, like, I kept telling myself, you know, oh, well, if you pair it with matte shadows, you're going to love it more. Or, oh, if you do this, you're going to love it more. And for me, my biggest problem isn't even that it doesn't have any matte shadows. Like, as you guys know, if you watched my first impressions, I was pretty hung up on that fact. I was really hung up on the fact that you could openly put in a description, like, hey, here's one palette for $40-some, and just go buy the other palette that's almost the same, but it's the matte version. Go buy that one too, and then put them together, and it'll be great. I really had a hard time with that, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to go into this with an open mind, and I tried it with the Ultimate Basics. I've tried it with a bunch of other matte shadows, and I found myself very, not only uninspired, but very frustrated every time I reached for this palette. I was frustrated because, on my couple of favorite, like, shimmer shades, there was a ton of fallout. And it was this one at the very end down here. These 2 white shades had a bunch of fallout on them. And for me, that's really frustrating, just because I don't like fallout. I don't want to deal with fallout. And the other issue I had is how heavy they are. I do not take away from the quality of these shadows at all. Kat Von D shadows are flawless. They blend great. They are super pigmented. They are beautiful shadows. But for me, on my eyelids, for some reason, they sat so heavily that I kept finding myself being like, my God, I feel like I've put cement bricks up there. And I don't know if that's just me. That could just be like the fibromyalgia talking, or I don't know what it is. But it was definitely like every time I had to reach for this, I felt like I had to reach for it, as opposed to being like, oh my God, I'm so excited to work with this palette. And I think for me, that's like a telltale sign that it's not the palette for me, or for you even. If you look at something and you're like, I'm reaching for that Ultimate Basics one again, you know, if you feel that uninspired when it comes to a palette, you shouldn't use or have that palette. It should never make you feel uninspired or frustrated. And for me, I constantly felt that way with this one, not because the shadows were subpar, but just because it's not my cup of tea the way that it feels sitting on my eye. It did not crease though, I'll give it that. It did not crease like I thought it would, because they are so heavy. I was like, yeah, these are definitely going to be a problem. And they weren't. So, honey, I'll give you that for sure. But just for me, it's not my cup of tea. It's probably going to go back. Now, I think one of the last products, or the last product, I'm like looking around my vanity like, did I miss anything? But I think for the purposes of this video, the last one that I'm going to throw in is actually the Big Blush Book number 3 from Tarte. I did a total first impression swatch of this one as well, you guys. And I have to say, I have found myself continuously reaching for this palette. Now, that is a prime example of what I mean when I say, like, if you're not reaching for it, ugh. But I seriously keep, like, every day I put on my bronzer, you know, everything, and then I go in with bronzer, and then I'm like, ooh, what blush do I want today? Whatcha! And then I'm like, ooh, I like this one, and I start mixing them, and I have been having so much fun with this blush palette. And it actually, at first, it reminded me of how I felt when I had the Benefit Cheek Parade, which I have somewhere over in that mess, but it reminded me a lot of that in the sense that that had 3 blushes in it, and I would always be like, ooh, I want these ones, and then I want these 2, and I want to mix them. And I love the idea of having them all right here. I love that they are so easy to work with. I'm actually wearing it on my face right now. I went in with the shade Mindful for my blush. It is just so beautiful. They are pigmented. They are great blushes. And then I layered, I might have layered 3 highlights today. And one of them I did go in with Spirited in this just to like brighten up a bunch of the areas on my face. I think that this is a very inclusive palette, a very easy to use palette. This shimmer shade in the middle, this highlight shade, it is so flattering on so many different skin tones. It's not like the most glitzy glammy highlight you'll ever have, but it is a very subtle glowed highlight. And again, I think it shows up beautiful on a range of skin tones. And then I would say the same about all of these blushes as well. I think that they all go really well with a lot of different skin tones, a lot of different undertones, a lot of different foundations. I have not had any problems when I've been using this palette, and believe me when I say, like, I've been using it, I think every day actually. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, you guys, I think that that's it for this video. It's just a short video, a catch up, like I said, a what did I think, final thoughts, if you will. If you guys like these kind of videos, if you like knowing what I think after I've used a product, you know, a couple times, 4, 5, 6, 7 times or whatever, let me know and I will definitely keep doing them. I know that they're not going to get the most views. I know that they're not going to be the most popular, but I do think that it's the fairest way to keep you guys like in touch or in the know of what I've been thinking about these products. Because if you guys only see me try them once and I'm like, ugh, but then I tried it later and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, this is the best way to use this. That's the kind of stuff I want to be able to tell you guys. So let me know if this is something that you like, or if you're like, no, it was definitely a waste of a video. Do not do this again, honey boo boo. Then I'll be like reconsidering my life over here. But until then, you guys, I'm going to get moving. I got to get scooting. I actually need to go to Ulta. It's going to be a good day. So I will talk to you guys all later. Wow, that hair. It's so poofy that it's like pushing my ear out when I try to tuck it. That's poofy. I don't have poofy hair either, so I don't know like what to do with it other than to go fix it. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to get scooting, you guys. I will talk to you all later. I hope you have a great day, night, weekend, whatever. And I shall talk to you all later. What did I think? Well, that one wasn't.